lose zeal for aiding Obama again, making the point that back in 2008, young people in particular who had the time and the passion, threw that time and passion behind President Obama's campaign. They were out there in the field, on the internet, really working for him. And now some of those same people say, well, you know, I'll probably vote for him, but I'm not going to do all that again. You know, I've lost my enthusiasm for him. One woman quoted, he hasn't really addressed the young people, and we helped get him elected. Another person saying, it's hard to be a passionate follower of him. It's easier to be a thoughtful supporter. TJ,
that's interesting. Well, we also right now don't have the literally Hollywood-backed big production numbers that we had throughout 08. You know, I mean, Barack Obama he was a bio. The people voted for a biography. I mean, there was very little substance there. Even his time that should have been substantial, his time in the state legislature and in the Senate, was a lot of it was time spent voting present. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's true. And so what people ended up getting all hyped up about was, again, this Hollywood production, and literally because that was the people on his team. So, and I think so. Once that kicks in, I think a lot of those young people will be energized. But also, maybe, and I go out on a limb here, maybe that could also be a symptom of what's going on with this Occupy movement. Some of these young people, you know, they are the Occupy movement. Maybe some of them are having their energies focused on, you know, all these extracurricular things, occupying parks and bridges and tunnels. You know, so that might be one thing.
Well, you know, Richard, President Obama's campaign manager, Jim Messina, says, you know, there are 8 million newly registered voters now between the ages of 18 and 21 since the last election, most of whom of those newly registered voters are Democrats. He says he's not worried. You know, the ones from 4 years ago may have moved on and now they're busy, you know, with jobs and families and whatnot. But you have new energy from these newly minted Democratic voters.
I think Mr. Messina is completely correct here. Yeah, I call myself an Obama Democrat. And I tell you why, because I think President Obama has the ability to talk to young people and restore hope. But that hope is not without action. Since President Obama's taken office 3 years ago, 1 million young people have been able to go back on their parents' health care insurance. That is change that we can believe in. On top of that, we've seen the president make efforts to make college more affordable, makes the burdens of student loans easier for young people to handle. While you're right, there is going to be an enthusiasm gap. The reason for that gap is not necessarily because they're doing extracurricular activities like occupying parks and bridges, like TJ says, but it's because we're going to be engaged about this election. The best thing that young people can do after we're done occupying Wall Street and telling the corporations that we're tired of the 1% taking control is we need to occupy the ballot box and let the American people know and let Washington know that we care about issues of Social Security and Medicare, but we also care about jobs and restoring hope and change to our economy. And the only candidate that we have seen since this presidential race has started that can do that is President Obama. He stood with the young people. He stood for jobs. He stood for teachers, firefighters, police officers, and nurses. Right. Yeah, and that's what's going to matter.
Okay, TJ, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you to hold that thought. We have to thank Richard Fowler for joining us live from D.C. Thank you for joining us.
Good to see you, Rich.
And we're going to hang on to TJ a little bit longer, and he can have a lozenge or something while we go to our next guest. We want to talk about another big topic. Just 10 days left now for that super committee to come up with